I'm attorney Mark Nicholson from the law office of Mark Nicholson, also known as the battery man for my focus on criminal battery cases. Now I want to talk to you about something that seems like a constant theme: police brutality. So this is the case where this officer in Illinois engaged in excessive force, where he shot someone unnecessarily. Sonya Massey, she was 36 years old, and she called the police because she wanted help. She thought someone was an intruder or breaking in or where they were not supposed to be. She called the police for help. Now, oftentimes you hear people say, oh, the police are supposed to be here to protect and serve. But I tell clients all the time that the police, what they normally do is come after the fact, after a crime has been committed. That's what normally happens. So they're normally not there protecting people from crimes, unless obviously if you're at some event and they're providing security or they're patrolling. Those are the situations where they would. But in a normal day, police aren't outside your house trying to protect you from being harmed. So you call the police when you think something's going on. That's why we call 911. Well, she did that. And for whatever reason, she said that in the name of Jesus, I rebuke you, or I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. And when one of the officers showed up, what he did was basically overreact. He ultimately ended up killing her. Sean Grayson, Deputy Sean Grayson. Now, he's been charged with first-degree murder, so he's been charged with this crime. Apparently, they did an investigation and found out that what he did was murder. Now, that's huge because there was a time, mainly prior to George Floyd, that a lot of police actions did not result in charges because people just did not believe it until George Floyd came around, right? Now, there's this push for all these body cams, and then the body cams start telling the full story about these cops that are abusing their power. That's what happens. That's what we're seeing. This isn't new, anything new to people in the community, especially the African American community, that have witnessed this firsthand repeatedly. And that's why I'm wearing this shirt. Pong. Yes, Pong. How does it relate? Because back in 1972, Atari made this game Pong. It was like a table tennis video game. And there was this back and forth with this little ball. It was hugely successful. And that's what we see between the police and the community, especially, like, once again, the African American community or the poor community, right? This back and forth, this Pong, with the police engaging in this police brutality and saying they didn't do anything wrong, and black people saying that they're doing something wrong. And now video shows up, and oftentimes the people that are saying they're being abused and victim of this abuse are right. And that's why we're complaining. Now then steps in the FOP, the Fraternal Order of Police. It's a police union. And they have this back and forth with the community or with the government, because anytime an officer gets in trouble, the FOP, comes in and comes up to their defense. That's what unions do. Here in Indianapolis, it's the same thing. Anytime there's some issue that comes up involving the new law that they don't like or something with the police, the union normally will step in and they will represent. They will hire an attorney to represent that individual officer, in this case, a deputy. They put their little 2 cents in. In this particular case, even though he's been charged with murder, they come in and they file a grievance form. They file a grievance and say that he should not have been fired. Now, we haven't seen all the details, at least I haven't seen all the details about what happened. We know that there's a video out there and it shows some of what happened. It shows the lead up to her being shot, at least what I've seen. And then there's audio. And she's like, please don't hurt me. And then the deputy's like, well, why would I hurt you? So apparently she has this boiling water. Doesn't seem like deadly force to me. It's just boiling water. If you get hit with boiling water, yes, you could get third-degree burns. Probably won't kill you. No one wants third-degree burns, but I don't think he had any reason to use deadly force. Maybe he could have backed away so he wouldn't get hit with the water. I would think a bullet would travel much longer, faster, further than boiling water would. So you'd think that he would maybe back away from the situation. That way he doesn't get hit with this boiling water. But what's he do? He shoots her in the face and tells her that he's going to shoot her in the face before he actually shoots her in the face. I'll shoot you in the face. So he had time. I mean, if you had time to tell somebody you're going to shoot him in the face, maybe you have time to back away from that situation. Maybe. As an officer, in this case a deputy, you're supposed to be trained to de-escalate situations. And he doesn't de-escalate it. Matter of fact, they found that he escalated it, which I've seen happen many times before. Supposed to de-escalate, but they escalated. Now, going back to the FOP. So the FOP files this grievance. They want him back on the job. And their grievance basically reads, the grievance was terminated without just cause. The grievance is Deputy Grayson. And further, the employer, meaning the sheriff's department, disseminated details of the investigation and termination on Facebook in violation of CBA, and prior to giving the grievance or his representative notice of the decision to terminate. Now, the remedy that they seek is reimbursement of all lost wages, restoration of all lost benefits, and any other appropriate relief. CBA is a collective bargaining agreement. That's where they go into these agreements, they being the union and whatever entity, like in this case the government, to say this is what happens if something happens about their pay, about their work conditions, about getting fired. So that's what they're talking about when they mention the CBA. They're saying this is a violation of that agreement. Now, apparently, when people on the other side, when we're arguing that what the police are doing is not justified, they don't seem too concerned about that. They're only concerned about the police and protecting their officers, whether they're right or wrong. Now, that seems wrong. Now, I get it, it's a union's job, and that's what unions do. Their goal is to protect their union members. But at some point, when you're in law enforcement, I would think that you would stand on the side of justice, on the side of what's right. So I haven't read the whole entire collective bargaining agreement. So maybe this is out of line with their collective bargaining agreement and what they're required to do according to this agreement. I agree that they should go through due process, because we don't, if that's what's required, then I would agree that they need to make sure that all the steps have been followed. They would have to. Because I wouldn't want it on the other side, if we're saying what they did was wrong, for us to turn around and be wrong as well and do another injustice with another injustice. Now, I'm not saying that the police officer or the deputy should be back on the job, and apparently he's had a troubled history. This isn't the first time. But once again, what we often see, and what I see in these cases, is that the officer, the deputy, whoever, is usually in trouble prior to this happening. This is not the first time something like this happens. And there are reports that this officer has some trouble in the past. Maybe he shouldn't have been around going to these high-pressure situations with his past. Immunity. Yes, immunity is part of the problem. Because they know that using this legal, fictional construct, it's not in the Constitution, but they've given officers and prosecutors and judges and the president, they've all given them this immunity, and I say they being the courts. So they know that they can act and do whatever they want to, and people cannot hold them accountable. They're not liable to lawsuits and prosecution. They're immune. And I've always said that they need to strip away this immunity. I don't think that people are served when people in positions of power have this immunity, when they think they can get away with whatever. So I get sued, no big deal. I got immunity, can't sue me. It's written in the statutes that the police sometimes cannot even be held accountable for what they do. If they were being held accountable, maybe they would think twice about some of the things that they do, because they know they can't be held accountable. So they do things that cause situations like this to happen. And the body cams are why this stuff is being brought to the media. That's why you're seeing more of it, because of body cams. This body cam footage is actually capturing what's really going on. It's no longer just, oh, she was attacking me and I had to shoot because I was afraid for my life. Because now you can actually watch the video and say, wait a minute, that's not what happened. And even body cam is the audio, right? Listening to the audio and him saying that F&B is crazy. This is someone he just shot. And he's supposed to be there to help her. But yet he's calling her a name. He didn't even help try to save her life while another officer was trying to save her. It was like he stepped on a cockroach. It's unbelievable. Some of the things that is captured on audio about what the police say. And that's why the communities are outraged. It's why it's going to continue to happen as long as immunity stays in place. Now, I don't believe that there's going to be any vacating of immunity anytime soon, that any removal of nothing. The immunity is here to stay, and it's probably get even broader because the people in positions of power don't want to remove it. They don't want it taken away because they are the ones that be sued. So they want to have this shield of protection to engage in certain behaviors and make it harder for someone to sue them or for them to be held accountable because they want to maintain that power. And that's the Pong again, right? Pong. This back and forth between the people that have all this power and the people that don't have all this power. And we're trying to bring some kind of equity, some kind of balance into the situation, into these injustices. So I'm going to keep following this case because I find it just another example of police brutality, of their callousness. And this is what I fight against. And I have several lawsuits myself and pending or litigation pending against police officers and departments, sheriff's departments in Indiana for abusing their power and abusing people. So hopefully in this case, there can be some justice brought to the family because what I see is just another travesty of justice. This is your Nicholson Nugget of the Day. Please be sure to like and subscribe.